You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me in the booth this week is, of course, the other Mike, Lucy. Thank you and welcome back to the show again.
Happy to be here. Hi, guys.
So this week we are talking about Harry Potter, which is a topic, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought we really didn't have to cover again. At least not anytime soon. Because unless you really cared about Hogwarts Legacy, which I don't, we got the movies. The movies were done. They weren't ever going to bring the stage play to the big screen because that was just expressly forbidden by the way the stage play was set up. And the Fantastic Beasts movies managed to crash and burn after 3 films, and no one was looking for them to ever come back again. So,
Yeah.
for me, I expected, Harry Potter's done. We don't have to worry about this media franchise again anytime soon. J.K. Rowling can live off the residuals of the books and the previous movies' home video sales, and we're done. And I wasn't sad about that because, fuck J.K. Rowling. So
It's a bit of a garbage human.
garbage woman, yeah. Look, I don't want her to be personally attacked. I don't think people should be threatening her online. You can have a civil discourse and say you're a trash person and I don't like you, which I would do to her. I would do to Dave Chappelle for his exact same views. I would do to some other people. If you're going to be a TERF online, at least admit you're a TERF online, you know?
Yeah.
So,
you got to own it 24/7.
Yeah. I know people would hate me because I'm an ultra-liberal, but I will own it to their face. I am an ultra-liberal. I have no problem admitting this. So, admit who you are and just move on and stop acting shocked when people don't like your opinion, because no one online is going to like every opinion all the time, unless it comes from Keanu Reeves.
Exactly.
That's just how that works.
Yeah, that man can do no wrong, and he is a treasure and should be cherished forever.
Yes, we need to make sure he is sealed in lucite when he gets close to death so we can always have him.
Yeah.
Freeze his head, put it next to Walt Disney's. We will make sure we have Keanu Reeves forever. But apparently, we don't get to be done with the Harry Potter franchise because Warner Bros. Has decided we're not done with it. So,
goody, yay.
So they have decided they want to reboot the franchise and they want to do a TV show based on it. Which, I'm going to be honest, I have mixed feelings on, even if we set aside the J.K. Rowling of it all. Just from a basic standpoint, I didn't feel like the movies were perfect, aside from number 3, done by Alfonso Cuarón, because that one is a fucking amazing movie. Gorgeous fucking movie. But the books are long. The books start off at 400 or 500 pages, and then go up to Stephen King length by the end of them. J.K. Rowling clearly decided at a certain point she didn't need an editor. And so her books just got really fucking long. But, the adventures were more complex. It's fine. If you want to do it as any kind of media franchise for novels that long, I feel like TV is a good fit if you have the budget for it. You can take a book that's 400 or 500 pages, and instead of cramming it into a single movie like Chris Columbus tried to do, you make it into a 4 or 5 episode miniseries for that 1 year, and you get to let the things flesh out, do all the weird plot lines that people liked in the books that didn't make it, like the House Elf Society or Severus Snape's secret porn collection. I don't remember the books in detail. Something about Hagrid and beasts and whatever. Things happened. It's been a long time since I read the book.
Wow, 2011 was the last movie, too. Yeah. I'm just looking at that. That's 12 years. That is something.
When you see Daniel Radcliffe in person, like in TV shows and shit, you're like, wow, it really has been 12 years, hasn't it?
Yeah. There was a really fun movie he did that was like a violent one where I forget the name of it, but he got drugged up and someone screwed or hammered guns to his hands and he had to use it kill. Yeah. Oh man, it was good.
I will credit him. We'll get back on topic for a second, but I will credit him. He has made enough money off the Harry Potter movies and will for the rest of his life that he clearly is in the fuck it, I don't care stage of his career.
Oh yeah, and everybody, you see people go through this. I've had to live their lives a certain way, and for the better part of, a decade plus, he had to live as Harry Potter, and now it's fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want, and I respect that.
And he's got enough money coming in; it doesn't matter. He made so much off Harry Potter, he makes enough off the residuals now. Let the man do what he wants because he's just earned it. But
live your life, bud.
Yep, hell yeah. So I think on the one hand, I can appreciate the idea of turning it into a TV series. I wish it wasn't so nakedly capitalistic. There are reasons for doing it, which is, it's been a decade, let's just fucking do it again.
Yeah.
And we can't keep doing the Fantastic Beasts movies because no one likes those. That's your fault, Warner Brothers. You hired the wrong screenwriter for that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I don't feel like most of the movies, most of them, are bad enough that we really necessarily needed a reboot. The first two movies are hideously uneven, but once the third movie kicks and then they get the right set of directors and producers for the rest of it, like, the movies are pretty good. They don't fly as high as number three, but they're pretty good. Did we
Yeah.
need these stories again so soon?
I don't know a whole lot about what the actual context of the show is going to be about. Are they going to be,
The same books.
rebooting?
The books.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. And then
Yep.
yeah, like we don't really need this. If you were giving me, in betweens of like, what happened between Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, or the results of how the Goblet of Fire affected them and changed things between that and the Order of the Phoenix, I guess I can kind of buy into that. But I don't need the same stuff rehashed again. It's a cash grab and nothing else, in my opinion.
I don't know why this occurred to me, but I heard Dumbledore's Summer Vacation, and then all I saw was a shot-for-shot remake of the Mark Harmon movie Summer School, but with Dumbledore in it
Oh,
instead.
oh man, that's a classic film, and also some really great stuff. An '80s movie that's very not well known that is quite funny.
That's what we do on this show. We provide the service of letting you know of really crappy old movies you hadn't heard of that are worth watching.
Summer School, it's good. From Mark Harmon of NCIS fame
And
nowadays.
Kirstie Alley. Kirstie Alley's in
Yep,
it too. Yeah, it's great.
yep,
Great
yep,
for Kirstie
yep.
Alley.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's that I'm sorry, I really want that movie now. But back on topic. Yeah, and this is my problem is the books for a certain generation are timeless. They
Hmm.
are like for me, I love the Discworld books. Those are my series because I got into them at the right age and I've read through them multiple times. If there was a good adaptation of Discworld, I would be happy. They haven't done the best adaptations in my opinion. There's been some decent ones, but not great. But a good adaptation of the whole series, I would be absolutely flabbergasted about. I'd love it. If then, after those came out 10 years later, they were like, hey, you know what? We're going to readapt this series of books again. I might sit there going, yeah, but do I need that? Didn't we say all we needed to say with the first 8 movies? Must we do them again?
I mean, money talks, and you have a name brand that has some clout and some power and will pull in, a studio with the, like you said, Warner Brothers is doing it. So, I mean, it has some power behind it and the name sells. And, whatever you want to say about J.K. Rowling and her being a trash person, she did create something that makes money and people
Mm,
find ways to look past it when money is involved. I guess you can maybe say that it's been a decade plus since the movies ended.
mhm.
That's time-ish for a reboot slash retelling, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, within this day of social media and internet, and everybody has a voice, and everything at the tip of your fingertips is anything you want when you go to a computer. It doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. It doesn't feel
No.
like it needs that kind of a reboot already. It's about the money, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And, yeah, fine. People got to get paid, but I get the feeling we're going to get a subpar product with a top budget that just is a waste.
Yeah, well, it is nakedly capitalistic in a way, because if the Fantastic Beasts movies had been better, had continued making the money they expected to make, they wouldn't be thinking about going back to the original source novels,
Right.
because they just keep milking that. They're like, well, that worked. Let's go find some other weird corner of this. How about the adventures of those two redheaded twins and their magic shop? Let's make them
Yeah.
into like detectives and have them do shit or something.
I
Like
feel like they said there's other things they
yeah.
can do with this
Hmm.
universe that
Hmm.
is not a retelling and a bring back of the original source material, which everybody I'm sure has strong feelings about. If you're an Uber fan, how do you feel about this? Like, that's a good question. Are you excited? Are you feeling slightly betrayed? I mean, I'm curious.
Well, let's talk about fandom for a second here, because we have so we have Castlevania. I am probably one of the biggest Castlevania fans the world has ever seen. It's pathetic. I
No.
recognize this.
You?
Yeah, I know it's
No.
pathetic. I acknowledge this. Oh my god, you look at my shelf, you're sitting there going, "Wow, they actually made Castlevania toys." I'm like, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's like that. My wife is very tolerant of some of my stupid things, but it's this thing of we have the Castlevania TV series, so I can point at this directly, and I'm like, this is great. This is an interesting adaptation. It's not perfect, not
Hmm.
perfect at all. It's taken some serious liberties, but we
Hmm.
have it. So if we did this and they go through it, and Netflix is like, okay, we're canceling it now. Like, I don't really feel like I need another version of it anytime soon, even with it not being perfect. And I
Hmm.
gotta feel like the Harry Potter fans are gonna be the same way. Either they grew up with the books and then saw a pretty good adaptation with the um Daniel Radcliffe. They had a
Hmm.
pretty good version with the Daniel Radcliffe movies. Interesting, he's
Hmm.
not the only one, but he's the boy that lived. It's his fucking movies.
Yeah,
Um,
it's about him. It's about
about
him.
him.
You
It's
know,
his
there's
fucking
the journey of the friends. Sure, it's fucking Harry Potter in the prison. Harry Potter. It's not Hermione, Harry, and Ron. It is Harry Potter.
It is. It is.
Shut. Up.
It is his movie.
Yeah.
So, but they have that, and they got it, and then their kids grew up with those movies. And if the kids were the right age, they've grown up with those movies.
Right.
So, if they've done that, and then they go back and read the books, like, oh, these are pretty close to the books. Like, I
Mhm.
can't even imagine like the next generation, Gen Z, who like reportedly barely watches movies anyway, and
Mhm.
then Gen Omega or Gen Alpha or whatever we're calling the next fucking group.
Right.
Um, like they're already starting to get some weird proto name. Whatever their
Mhm.
next generation is. Like they've had these movies and they've only been out for 10 years. They don't feel old. They get
No.
Blu-ray and UHD transfers. They look fresh. They look
Hmm.
fine. They have
Yeah.
the masters so they can make these things look pretty whenever they want. It
Hmm.
really doesn't feel like this is necessary. But then Warner's isn't the only one doing this. Lionsgate, admittedly, that they actually have a source book that hasn't been adapted yet. They're doing the prequel for Hunger Games. Um,
Right.
but they're also apparently decided, oh yeah, we own the rights to that Twilight series. We should remake those.
I mean, look at it like Disney. Disney has just recently agreed with Dwayne the Rock Johnson and
Yes.
the lead of Moana. They're remaking Moana. Shit's been
7
out like
years.
yeah, like
Yeah,
what? Like, and
right.
Moana's quite a fun movie.
It
Actually, the
is.
music
It
is
is.
good. The Rock as a singer is really quite good. I mean, the man is talented. Give it, call it the way it is. It's 7 years. You don't
Yeah.
need to remake something after 7 years.
There
I come on.
there does feel like there needs to be some kind of just agreed upon statute of limitations
Yeah.
that your movie is not old enough. You don't get to touch the property again unless you're doing something like a spin-off or a
Yeah.
sequel. Like, this is good the way it is. Leave it the fuck alone. Like, I get Disney wanting to remake their old movies, like remaking
The
Cinderella, even
Lion
though I heard
King,
that one
some
was great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Some of the other ones, Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent, which I think is it's part of what's caused this whole reboot boom. And
right,
Maleficent was great, but it sent the wrong lesson.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
The success of Maleficent, I think you had like my wife. I can kind of speak to this is like probably the biggest Maleficent fan
Mhm.
when it comes. I mean, we got stuff with Maleficent. I mean, we got
it,
not.
it's a Dark Moon has a sad collection of Castlevania toys level stuff. Huh?
Yeah, like we have stuff of Maleficent. They are not so much anymore because she's gotten her fill of whatnot. But I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
when we would go to Disney, I would get something that was Stitch, and she would get something or two or three things that were Maleficent. It was just
Mhm.
kind of the way it is, and that was a really nice telling of what maybe she wasn't as evil, and there
Mhm.
was a message in there, and that was quite good.
Yeah,
And then Disney takes that and tries to translate it into these other things, like, oh, how are we going to capture the Lion King, the
Mhm.
magic of that with CGI? You can't.
Just remake
You
it.
don't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you don't have Jeremy Irons playing Scar. You can get Mufasa, but Mufasa, I mean, you cannot replace that voice.
No.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but I mean, it's again, it's fine, and we don't really need it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's the older stuff I get, but the stuff from the Disney Renaissance, some of which
Hmm.
feels timeless still. Sleeping Beauty, Lion King, as you mentioned, even Aladdin, which despite like Robin Williams making very to the era jokes for 30 years ago, has
Hmm.
aged because of the performance. No one's gonna know the Arsenio Hall show, but they understand a dude making whoop whoop noises is funny. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's
And
the way he
the little
improvised.
things.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah. So, but like, we don't need like the. I could even, to a certain extent, let Little Mermaid go through right now because its animation is starting to feel a little aged in comparison.
Yeah,
And we're getting a new
it
one of
was
those. But like,
19, 1989 for Little Mermaid, you're talking 24 years.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm,
okay. Like, can you redo this for kids that, God, I'm sorry, 34 years. Holy shit.
right,
Um, there are kids that were born, 15 years after that, all they know is this movie from 15 years before they were born, which
mm-hmm,
sounds disgusting. So
right. Oh
remaking
man.
that, I guess, okay, sure. And I
Mm-hmm,
feel like Little Mermaid is one of those that can translate okay. I'm
mm-hmm.
a little nervous how they're going to use, Sebastian and Flounder, because you can't
Oh
make
jeez.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't make animals emote like you can in movies that you can in cartoons and animation.
But
It's just a fact. It just looks weird.
but Disney saw that they can't diverge too far, uh,
Yeah,
while trying to
yeah,
keep the stick to the main meat of it because Mulan is an
right.
abomination. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
it's quite bad actually. Um, but I mean, like we're talking remakes, and what is the timeline here?
hmm
34 years feels like okay, that's about that area.
hmm
Like my favorite movie of all time is Jaws. I can quote you every line from that movie. I've seen it 100 times. I would never want to see that remade because, that to me is what a perfect suspense movie from the 70s
hmm
is about and cannot be topped. And you're never going
hmm
to recapture that. Are there good shark movies? Sure. The Meg is fun. It's fine.
It's
Jason
dumb. It's
Statham
fun. Yeah.
it's fine. The Shallows with Blake Lively is actually quite very good. If you've never seen it, it's another shark movie that is just really good. But then you have Deep Blue Sea. Sure. You got some other movies in there that are like, fine. But you
hmm
can't remake something you're going back on 50 plus years for Jaws. You're never going to remake that. Why are we getting Harry Potter 12 years later? Because
Yeah.
of money.
You can't recapture, quite literally in this case, the magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah. No, you can't. I mean,
Expelliarmus me wallet.
there's been plenty of franchises that have tried and failed to recapture the magic. I
Hmm.
mean, how many Alien movies have we gotten since Aliens that didn't pan right? Yeah,
Too many. And
right.
that's another one of my favorite franchises that
hmm
is, again, some of these movies are fine. They're action movies, take what they are. But Alien was a great movie. Aliens is somehow better. And
hmm
then it's all downhill from there.
One of the few franchises I've seen that warranted revisiting it was
Yeah.
Predator with Prey.
Oh, that was very good. I'm
hmm
sure you've probably seen it. For anybody that hasn't, that is quite good. And even
Good.
watch it a few months later, it still holds up. It is quite good.
But
I watched it again the other day. It's not bad. It's good.
it pulls off a solid trick though because it doesn't do the action movie parody that the original movie does. But it
Right.
doesn't diverge far from the template either. So it tells a more dramatic story with an
Mhm.
interesting lead. And by setting it in the past, they make the whole concept of it feel fresh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nice rebump to a franchise that was floundering and was
Right.
kind of caught in this like limbo of like, are we comedy, are we horror,
Mm-hmm.
and brought it back into, we're really neither, but we're action gore, and you're gonna love it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I get like there's ways you can resurrect a franchise. Um, I think the issue for Warner's is in part if they diverge too far from the books, they have to renegotiate the contract. I'm sure,
Hmm.
which is part of the reason why they haven't adapted the stage play. The stage play is its own thing, and J.K. Rowling is holding very tightly to it just being a stage play. Which,
Hmm.
from what I've heard, I wouldn't care to have it as a movie anyway. It doesn't sound great. Um,
Hmm.
but the cursed child or whatever the fuck it was. But there's also it's also this thing of like they have to they have to try and figure out something to do, and apparently that doesn't involve just enjoying the fact that they made a bunch of money. So
Yeah, and
like because they're doing the same
it's
thing with Lord of the Rings. Like they didn't get to do the TV show, so they're making a bunch of movies, and that also feels like a waste of time.
yeah, and I mean, you saw, like to your point about like, how far can you stray from the source material? Look what happened to Game of Thrones when they kind of ran out of George R.
hmm
Martin's source material. Like, yeah, he told them in the direction he was going to go. He said how it was going to end, but you really feel between season 6 and 8 that like, oh, we're out of shit. We got to start taking some
hmm
more liberties here, and the show suffered because of it.
Yep.
It really did, and
They
it's
didn't have the
still.
guide point to tell them where to go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fantastic franchise. It's worth a watch. It's really good. Did it end good? No.
Yeah.
Just no.
The ending ruined it to the point that even though I think its prequel, House of the Dragon, is actually pretty decent, my
Mhm.
wife, who was as into Game of Thrones as I was while it was airing, just can't be bothered to watch it now. We saw the Blu-ray on sale for $40, and I'm sitting there
Mhm.
going, She was like, I don't even care. And I'm sitting there going, I'm not sure 40 is really worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just it suffered, and then, we're back on to like talking about like like Daniel Radcliffe. He had to live Harry Potter for 10 plus years, and Jon Snow and Dany had to live these roles for 8 to 10 years, and you want to see these actors move on and do things like, I mean, hell, he couldn't even cut his hair. He had to live a certain way and
Yeah.
keep that certain look.
That
So I
box top.
understand. Yeah, so like I understand, but when you run out of sports material, it hurts. And do I need it? No, I don't.
Maybe it'll be a success. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe people will flock to it. This feels like desperation.
Well, let's revisit this, in a little while. We got some time. It's saying 2025, 2026 for release date. So we got years of waiting to see what they're going to do. and maybe the hype will build, and maybe they'll get some really quality child actors to play these roles, and they can kind of recapture that magic and tell the story with some updated CGI and some more things they weren't able to delve into. But I mean, I don't need a retelling of these that just happened. I just don't.
I don't. All right, this is Not So Light from Asteroid G, lamenting these movies of our youth. I'm your host, Mike Finkelstein, here with the other Mike in the booth, and we will see you next time.